My name is Catherine. About 10 years ago, I discovered I had a cyst on my thyroid that was benign, and it was fairly small, so I didn't do anything about it for a while. And then my doctor suggested I see Dr. Goldfarb at St. John's, and she measured it again and biopsied it again, and it had grown to about 4 centimeters. I'm pretty certain they gave me the results immediately. I'm pretty certain she just took a biopsy and checked it and then told me it was fine. So that was a real relief to know that. I mean, I kind of already knew probably it was fine, but it was good to have that additional reassurance. And she said you can either have it removed with surgery, which would involve, because it was so wrapped around my thyroid, taking out half of my thyroid, or she said we're going to try this new procedure called Radiofrequency Ablation. And this was about a year ago, I think, and she hadn't started doing it. So I wanted to find out more, so I just asked her to tell me when she started doing it and how it was going. It was very straightforward. She described exactly what was going to happen, and it really was exactly as she described it. You take some kind of drug to relax you, like I took a Valium before the procedure, and then she numbs the skin so you don't really feel the needle going in. And then she uses ultrasound to see exactly where to direct the radio frequency, whatever it is, the magic stuff that she does in there. It's like it kind of essentially cooks the cyst, or cooks the inside of it to encourage it to shrink. It took about 45 minutes, half an hour to 45 minutes. So it was a bit longer than I was expecting, but she was very thorough, and my cyst was quite complicated. It had lots and lots of pockets. So she was going around and treating each pocket to make sure it would shrink as much as possible. And then after it was over, she told me to go home and ice it so it wouldn't swell. So I was very meticulous about icing it, and I iced it for a full 12 hours on and off. And actually it didn't swell at all. I think I was quite lucky that it didn't swell. And then I went back to see her a month later, and she did an ultrasound, and the cyst had shrunk by 40%. I already felt that it was much less noticeable, and she said it would continue to shrink, and I will go back to see her after 6 months to see how much further it has shrunk. The idea was unusual. I hadn't heard about radiofrequency ablation before, but it seemed to make sense because the cyst is part liquid and part sort of solid matter, and the way the radiofrequency works is by cooking it, heating it, basically killing it so it shrinks. And I had had a previous attempt to shrink it using ethanol about 8 years ago, which hadn't worked and had been quite painful. So this sounded like it would be more effective than that, and I didn't really want to have surgery. There was a little bit of discomfort during it, not exactly pain, but I could, because you're awake, you're relaxed, but you're awake, you can feel the probe or the needle moving around, trying to find the pockets of the cyst, and then she would treat them. So there is some discomfort and some awareness, but there was no pain during it really, and I didn't have any pain afterwards. After a couple of weeks maybe, it seemed smaller, and then after a month it definitely seemed smaller. I don't really notice it anymore now. Definitely talk to Dr. Goldfarb and see if it's for you. I mean, it can treat certain cysts. I don't know if it's good for all of them. I was a good candidate given the consistency of my cyst and where it was, and the alternatives. I mean, in terms of the procedure itself, it's very straightforward. It's you go in, you do it, and you go home, and you just need to rest and ice, and it's you're not inconvenienced really. And from my experience, it wasn't particularly painful, and it seems to have worked. So if anybody with a thyroid cyst asked me for advice, I'd say, basically don't panic. I mean, the chances are it's probably benign, and you can be helped either way. And the doctors here are amazing, and they can help you and guide you. And the treatment I received was amazing. So I'd say don't panic. Just come and talk to Dr. Goldfarb. She was very clear and straightforward from the beginning, from the first day I met her. She especially put me at ease because I was very worried about having a cyst on my thyroid, and I was very relieved to know that it was benign. And then she explained all the ways in which she could treat it if it was annoying me, which it did start to kind of bother me a bit. And yeah, so no, nothing but thanks and appreciation.